Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to the first lecture series of BCH 221, which is functional biochemistry, and this lecture is by Mr. Abubakar Yahaya. These are my outlines. In this lecture, the topic that I'm going to discuss on is vitamin and minerals. So under vitamins and minerals, we are going to look at the definition, classification of vitamins. Under classification, we are going to look on water-soluble vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins. Then we are going to look at an overview of chemistry, classification and functions of minerals. After that, we are going to look at some important selected minerals to the human health, like selenium, copper, zinc, and chromium. Before entering into the topic, we need to understand that chemicals are divided into 5 groups from the nutritional perspective. We have the micronutrients. These are the macromolecules that we know, like the carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. We also have the macro elements. So these are not molecules, these are elements that are required by our body. We have calcium ion, magnesium ion, sodium ion, chloride. And these macro elements, their deficiency can be fatal. That is, their deficiency is very dangerous to our health. Whereas the micro elements, their deficiency is not as fatal as the macro elements. And there are some elements in the periodic table that their role is not known to the human system. For example, like the silicon. And there are some elements that are very toxic, that are detrimental to our health. For example, like the arsenic, the mercury, the cyanides. They serve no useful function, but however, they are dangerous to our health, and they are usually classified as heavy metals. So under macronutrients, as I said, they are divided into carbohydrates, and this consists of starch in plants and glycogen in animal. We have protein, we have fat. They are called macronutrients because our body needs them in a large quantity. Let's say, for example, the daily requirement, this one is just an example, daily requirement of protein is 55 grams per day. So the gram is in large quantity. So, and after taking them from carbohydrate, we get polysaccharide, disaccharide, monosaccharides to glucose. These are all how their digestion is taking place. Protein to polypeptide, oligopeptide, amino acids. But this is not our major topic of discussion. This is just an introduction. Whereas the micronutrients, they are divided into vitamins and minerals. Under vitamins, they are subdivided into water-soluble, that is those vitamins that are soluble in water, and fat-soluble, those vitamins that are soluble in hydrophobic mixture. So under water-soluble, we have B complexes and vitamin C. Under B complex, we have vitamin B1, which is thiamine, B2 riboflavin, B3 niacin, B5 pantothenic acid, B6 pyridoxine, B7 biotin, B9 folate or folic acid, and B12 cobalamin, whereas the vitamin C is known as ascorbic acid. Under fat soluble, we have vitamin K, vitamin E, vitamin D, and vitamin A. And there are some substances that are called vitamins. These are not vitamins, but they are vitamin-like. They possess some characteristics of vitamins. For example, we have choline. Choline is very important in our system for the synthesis of acetylcholine, which is an important neurotransmitter. So under minerals, we have macro minerals and micro or trace minerals. The macro minerals, they are called macro because they are required in more than 100 milligrams in our body, whereas the micro minerals, their requirement is usually less than 100 milligrams. So under macro minerals, we have calcium, iron, magnesium, as you can see, and under micro minerals, these are some of the examples. So these are what we are going to discuss in this topic, in this course, in details. The effect of vitamins. When you take excess of vitamins, our kidney can handle them. That is, they can be easily excreted by our kidney. They don't have toxic effect on our kidney. But when you take excess of minerals, excess of minerals can cause kidney problem to our health. So we are going to look at them in details during the course of the presentation. So now we are going to look at some basic differences between vitamins and minerals. We have, from the definition, vitamins are organic, that is, they are carbon containing compound, while minerals, they are inorganic. They don't have carbon, but they consist of any other elements within the periodic table. Vitamins are usually large in size. Their molecular weight is large, whereas minerals, they are usually small in size. Vitamins, they serve as coenzymes or precursors of coenzyme for most of the enzyme in our system. The concept of coenzyme is going to be discussed under enzymes, whereas the minerals, they serve as cofactors for enzymatic reaction, and they also act as building units of bones and teeth. For example, like calcium, it helps in the mineralization of our bone, mineralization of our teeth. That's why children that are usually that have deficiency of calcium will lead to rickets, or children that have deficiency of calcium in their system will lead to osteomalacia. That is, it will be easy for you to get fracture. Your bones will not be strong. We also have hemoglobin. For example, like iron is an important component of hemoglobin, and we know hemoglobin is a protein in our blood that helps in the transport of oxygen that we inhale. So minerals, iron is an important component of hemoglobin, and that is what even makes the blood to look red. So this one we already discussed about them. So we are now going to look at what are these cofactors and coenzymes. We say cofactors are usually from minerals, whereas coenzymes are obtained from vitamins. So what are they? Cofactors or coenzymes are non-protein molecules. You know, a functional enzyme is made up of two components. We have the apoprotein and the prosthetic group. So the prosthetic group, now the apoprotein is an inactive protein, whereas the prosthetic group consists of either the cofactors or the coenzyme that assists an enzyme to perform its biochemical function. So they are present in the cell at low concentration. So this is what I was trying to explain. Function: an active enzyme is an hollow enzyme, and a hollow enzyme consists of cofactors and apoenzyme. Cofactors and apoenzyme. So they act as chemical in teeth for enzyme. So cofactors, as I said, they are minerals, whereas coenzyme, they are vitamins. So, and these minerals, they are usually any other element within the periodic table apart from carbon. We have transition metals, ion, like the ferrous, the ferric, the zinc ion, and we have the alkali or alkali earth metals. These are usually the group 1 and group 2 of the periodic table. So now going into our main topic, what are vitamins? Vitamins are organic molecules with a wide variety of functions. And as I said during the course of introduction, they serve as precursors for coenzymes. These coenzymes for enzymatic reaction. They are essential, meaning that our body cannot synthesize them, so we get them from our diet. There are two distinct types of vitamins. We have the fat-soluble and the water-soluble. So before vitamins were discovered, it was known that lime juice prevents the disease scurvy in sailors, and that cod liver oil could prevent rickets. So in 1912, scientists found that in addition to carbohydrate, fat, and protein, certain other factors called vitamins must be obtained from the diet for the proper function of our systems. So this is how vitamins was discovered. And initially it was called vital amines because it was assumed that all the vitamins, they contains amines. So later on, when we have fat soluble and water soluble, the E for the amines was removed. Classification of vitamins: we have fat soluble and water soluble. Water soluble, we have non-B complex and B complex. The B complexes, we have those that are involved in energy releasing, and we have those that are involved in hematopoietic. When we say hematopoietic, it's like the process of the production of red blood cells, white blood cells, blood platelets in our system. So those B complexes that aid in energy releasing metabolism, we have thiamine, which is vitamin B1, riboflavin, vitamin B2, niacin, vitamin B3, pyridoxine, vitamin B6, biotin, vitamin B7, pantothenic acid, vitamin B5. While those involved in hematopoietic, we have folic acid, vitamin B9, and cyanocobalamin, which is vitamin B12. The non-B complex water-soluble vitamin have vitamin C, which is also known as ascorbic acid. Whereas the fat-soluble, we have vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. We are going to look at them in details. So the differences between fat-soluble and water-soluble in terms of excretion in urine: excess of water-soluble vitamins are excreted in the urine, whereas excess of fat-soluble vitamins are not excreted in urine. This is because the water-soluble vitamins are not stored, that is why they are excreted, but with exception like vitamin B9, which is folate, and vitamin B12, which is cobalamin, they can be stored for some specific period. Whereas the fat-soluble, they are stored in fat, that is in adipose tissue. That is why they are not excreted. Deficiency: because these water-soluble are usually excreted, that is why their deficiency is more likely. Whereas the fat-soluble, because they are being stored, their deficiency is less likely. Toxicity: hypervitaminosis, that is when you take them above the normal recommended dietary allowance or recommended daily allowance. The toxicity for water-soluble vitamin is less likely, because even though you take excess is going to be excreted in your urine. Whereas the fat-soluble vitamins, the toxicity is more likely, especially that of vitamin A and vitamin D. So absorption of water-soluble is very easy, does not depend on gastrointestinal tract or pancreas, whereas the absorption of fat-soluble depend on gastrointestinal tract and pancreas. Malabsorption and syndrome. Water-soluble vitamins, they don't usually have less or no effect, whereas fat-soluble decrease in absorption can lead to deficiency. So examples of water-soluble vitamins, as I said, we have vitamin B, B complexes, B1, B2, B3, B5, B7, B9, B12, and vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid. Whereas the fat-soluble vitamins, we have vitamin K, D, K, E, D, and A. So now we are going to look at water-soluble vitamins in details. Water-soluble vitamins are soluble in aqueous solution. They are used as coenzymes. By many enzymes, and they are not stored in our system. So this table is gotten from Setiana biochemistry textbook. You can go and look for it for more details. This table outlines the functions, outline the water-soluble vitamins, their coenzymes they produce, and also the function they serve in our system. We have the vitamin B1, which is thiamine. Don't be confused this thiamine with the nitrogenous base of nucleic acid. So this is the thiamine for vitamin B1. The thiamine for nitrogenous bases of nucleic acid is THY. And this thiamine serves as a precursor for coenzyme thiamine pyrophosphate. This thiamine pyrophosphate is coenzyme for some enzyme in our system, for example, like pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, and it helps in decarboxylation reaction. The function of pyruvate dehydrogenase complex is to convert pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. So in this process, one carbon dioxide is being removed from pyruvate. Pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound, acetyl-CoA is a 2-carbon compound. So decarboxylation reaction, that is the function of thiamine pyrophosphate. We have riboflavin vitamin B2. It serves as a precursor for coenzyme flavin adenine dinucleotides and flavin mononucleotides. It's involved in electron transfer in electron transport chain. These coenzymes are called reducing equivalents, and if you can recall, in beta oxidation reaction and also in reaction in citric acid cycle, there are some specific enzymes that FAD serve as their coenzymes. So they get electron, they carry the electron in the mitochondrial matrix, where they donate the electrons to the oxygen via an electron transfer, that is electron transport chain. So we have niacin vitamin B3 is a precursor for coenzyme nicotinamide adenine dinucleotides and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. What is the difference between these two? Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide is a coenzyme for most of the enzymes that are involved in oxidation and reduction reactions. But NAD+ is usually involved in catabolic reaction, whereas NADP is involved in anabolic reaction. Example of an enzyme, for example, like alcohol dehydrogenase, this NAD is serving as coenzyme, whereas the NADP, like glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, the NADP is serving as a coenzyme. So pantothenic acid, that is vitamin B5, is a precursor for coenzyme A. This coenzyme A is involved in acetyl group transfer. For example, in fatty acid synthesis, the first reaction is catalyzed by acetyl-CoA carboxylase. So coenzyme A is involved, and most of the biomolecules in our system, they are either synthesized from or they are converted into acetyl-CoA. So it means pantothenic acid is also very important because it serves as a precursor for coenzyme A. Pyridoxine vitamin B6, it serves as a precursor for the synthesis of coenzyme called pyridoxal phosphate. This pyridoxal phosphate is coenzyme for most of the enzymes that are involved in transamination reaction. For example, alanine aminotransferase, aspartate aminotransferase. So this transamination reaction is one of the important reactions of amino acids during the metabolism of amino acids, where an amino group is being transferred from one amino acid to a keto acid and the like. Cobalamin vitamin B12, it serves as a precursor for a methylcobalamin. This methylcobalamin, it's involved in the transfer of methyl group, and this transfer of methyl group is very important during the DNA synthesis. Ascorbic acid vitamin C is very important in collagen synthesis, healing of wounds, carboxylation, collagen synthesis, and healing of wounds. Biotin serves as precursor for biocytin, is involved in carboxylation reaction. Whereas the folic acid, this biotin is vitamin B7, whereas folic acid is vitamin B9. Serve as precursor for tetrahydrofolate. This one is also involved in methyl group transfer, which are very important in DNA synthesis. So fat-soluble vitamins, we have vitamin A, D, E, and K. All these vitamins are soluble in lipids, but not in aqueous solution. They are important in vision, like vitamin A, it helps in vision. Vitamin D, it helps in bone formation. Vitamin E, it serves as an important antioxidant. And vitamin K it plays a major role in blood coagulation cascade. There are some coagulation factors that are very important, which are synthesized from vitamin K, and they are stored in our system, just as we said during the introduction. So these are some basic functions of the fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A aids in formation of visual pigment like rhodopsin and conopsin, that is the rod and cones, development of epithelial cells. Vitamin D, it helps in absorption of calcium and phosphates, deposition of calcium and phosphate in the bone, in which deficiency in vitamin B can lead to rickets or osteomalacia. Vitamin E, it serves as antioxidant to prevent in oxidation of vitamin A and unsaturated fatty acids. Antioxidants, they are very important because they reduce the formation of free radicals in our system. And free radicals, they can lead to many diseases like cancer, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, the like. Vitamin K, it helps in the synthesis of prothrombin for blood clotting. So there is what we call blood coagulation cascade. For a blood to clot, there is a need for this prothrombin protein, and this vitamin K, it helps in the synthesis of it. That's why deficiency in vitamin K will make the blood not to clot, and that will lead to excessive bleeding. And once you have excessive bleeding, it means you will lose a lot of blood in your system. So now we are going to look at the water-soluble vitamins one by one. Vitamin B1, which is thiamine, was the first B vitamin to identify. Is part of the coenzyme thiamine pyrophosphate. So this is just chemical structure of thiamine pyrophosphate. This is thiamine vitamin B1. Is synthesized with the help of what? ATP, by thiamine pyrophosphate synthesis. Thiamine pyrophosphate coenzyme, that is TPP, is required by enzymes in the carboxylation of alpha-keto carboxylic acid. Just like I give an example of pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, which convert pyruvate, a 3-carbon compound, to acetyl-CoA, a 2-carbon compound, by a decarboxylation reaction. Deficiency of vitamin B1 may result in beriberi. The symptoms of beriberi is fatigue, weight loss, nerve disease, and also degeneration. Nerve degeneration, that is the degeneration of the nervous tissue. So thiamine pyrophosphate is influence the saccharide metabolism. When I say saccharide metabolism, I mean carbohydrate metabolism. And you know, glycolysis, TCA cycle are all part of metabolic pathways involved in carbohydrate metabolism. It helps against tiredness because its deficiency can lead to beriberi, and we say one of the symptoms of beriberi is fatigue. It's destroyed by severe washing of rice and vegetables. When you wash them, when you wash excessively before cooking, it can lead to their loss. Severe deficiency can lead to beriberi. I have talked about this. So the sources of vitamin B1 is found in fortified bread and cereals, fish, lean meat, and milk. You can also get it from yeast, rice, liver, and legumes. So that is all about vitamin B1. Vitamin B2, riboflavin, is made up of sugar alcohol, which is called ribitol. This is a structure of ribitol, and flavin is a structure of flavin. It's part of coenzyme flavin adenine dinucleotide and flavin mononucleotide. It's needed for good vision and healthy skin. So these enzymes, these coenzymes are very important in some metabolic reaction. For example, in beta oxidation and also in citric acid cycle, TCA reaction. So the sources of riboflavin include cereals, egg, vitamins, cereals, eggs, vegetables, dairy product, yeast, and liver. The recommended daily allowance RDA of vitamin B2 is 1.7 milligram. It helps in healthy red blood cell production. Vitamin B3 niacin is part of the coenzyme nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide involved in oxidation reduction reaction. Deficiency can result in dermatitis, muscle fatigue, and loss of appetite. It's found in meat, rice, and whole grains. So you can see all these rashes occur as a result of deficiency of vitamin B3. Pantothenic acid, vitamin B5, is part of coenzyme A needed for energy production as well as glucose and cholesterol synthesis. So as I said, acetyl-CoA is one of the central carbon involved in various metabolic, whether anabolic or catabolic pathways. So an important component of acetyl-CoA is this coenzyme A, which is gotten from pantothenic acid. So it is necessary for the formation of glycogen, fatty acid, and steroid hormones. Sources include whole grains and vegetables, egg, liver, heart, and yeast. This is the structure of pantothenic acid. Pyridoxine vitamin B6. The pyridoxine and pyridoxal are two forms of vitamin B6 which are converted to coenzyme pyridoxal phosphate. As I said during the course of the introduction, pyridoxal phosphate is a coenzyme required in the transamination of amino acid and decarboxylation of carboxylic acid. Example of enzyme involved in transamination, we have alanine aminotransferase and aspartate aminotransferase. All these enzymes, they require pyridoxal phosphate for their function. It means without this pyridoxal phosphate, amino acid metabolism will not take place in our system. And when amino acid is not taking place, metabolism is not taking place, it can lead to serious disease condition. Deficiency of pyridoxine may lead to dermatitis, fatigue, and anemia. Anemia, when we say anemia, it means decrease in the blood. So these are some of the functions: amino acid and protein metabolism, cure of anemia, formation of red blood cells. Sources include meat, fish, liver, vegetables, cereals, yolk, that is the egg yolk, and legumes. So the recommended daily allowance is 2 mg per day. As you can see, is water-soluble vitamin. Apart from being important in amino acid and protein metabolism, it also helps in the synthesis of antibodies in support of the immune system. That is, it increases the function of our immune system. Cobalamin vitamin B12 consists of 4 pyrrole rings with cobalt. This is the cobalt ion. So these are the pyrrole ring, and this is the cobalt. So it's a coenzyme for enzymes that transfer metal groups and produce red blood cells. Deficiency can lead to pernicious anemia and nerve damage. So this is the function of cobalamin. So cyanocobalamin is also vitamin, another name for vitamin B12, and these are the functions. The sources include dairy products, meat, poultry, and sea products. Ascorbic acid, vitamin C is required in collagen synthesis. Deficiency can lead to weakened connective tissue, slow healing wound, and anemia. Is found in these kind of diets: green vegetables, citrus fruit, tomatoes, blueberry. This is chemical structure of ascorbic acid. So deficiency can lead to scurvy. So these are some of the symptoms of the scurvy. Whereas hypervitaminosis, that is when you take it in excess, can lead to addiction and diarrhea. So these are some of the sources for vitamin C. So we are going to stop here. During our next contact, we are going to look in details the different water-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K, and further look at the minerals. So I wish you all the best. Thank you.